Well, it's been a long weekend, but you know what you can't let get long.
This ad.
Promo code Dangle for Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping. Enter it now. Let's start the show.
The Steve Dangle Podcast, powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Nazem Kadri with a statement. A statement before the game, a statement during the game, a statement after the game on the TNT panel with Paul Bissonnette. Have a listen and a look at what he said. And I got to tell you, man, this is one of those things where this is why you love Nazem Kadri.
Naz Biz here. Obviously, you know, with everything going into this game, I'm sure you're aware maybe they were going to take some runs at you. You score the goal, then Buchnevich takes that run, and then after that, on the ensuing play, they end up taking two stupid penalties. What was said to you on the bench by Bednar after when you were on there and he was patting your shoulder?
Just to stay patient, stay poised, and you know that's something I've been prepping myself for a while. Obviously, after last year, so. You know, for me, I'll take all the punches I can, convert on the power play. That one hurt him. So that's the end of the story.
Now, as I know you like playing on the road, and then you played into it tonight, but obviously there's different things that you have to deal with here. And we saw the story about online posts and some threats made toward you, death threats made towards you, racist threats made towards you on Twitter. How do you deal with all that and move on and play?
Man, unfortunately, I've been dealing with that for a long time. You know, that's sad to say, but that's just the fact of the matter. I'm getting good at just putting it in the rearview mirror. It's a big deal. I try to act like it's not and just keep moving forward. So, you know, that's what I do. And, you know, I know that doesn't reflect some of those messages I got. Doesn't reflect every single fan in St. Louis. But, you know, for those that hate, that one's for them.
Everyone was focusing on the last line, and it's a wonderful line. It's a wonderful line. But it's a big deal, but I try to act like it's not. That kind of hit me. You know what I mean? And he has been dealing with it forever.
I want to read
since junior.
That's how people try and dismiss these things. They say, "Oh, it's just online. Just don't look at your phone or whatever." No, it's a big deal.
One of the best writers Sportsnet has is Sonny Sechdeva.
Yes.
He is phenomenal. And I want to read his thread to you if I can with regards to that last bit of the Kadri comment, because obviously that's the quote that's floating around everywhere today. He said, one of the most frustrating things about this Kadri situation, after seeing him overcome all of this hate thrown at him, it'll just be wrapped up as an obstacle to be moved past, as a stepping stone to some type of greatness. A bad thing, but maybe not so bad because of what came of it. That's not what's happening here. It's all bad through and through either way. Being forced to use racist, hateful harassment of your family as fuel for performance is more than anything else a last resort, a way to survive a brutal and unnecessary situation, the only way out. Nothing but praise for Nazem for finding a way to be at his best through all this. But for those who have never had to deal with this nonsense directed at your skin, appreciate that doing what he is doing is 1,000 times harder than he's made it look. So raise Nazem up for showing impossible composure through this. But remember, he could have been great either way. BIPOC players shouldn't need to check off overcoming racism as a prerequisite to do big things. It's not a given. It just happens to seek them out over and over again.
Well, and also, like, the racism, but also I think people are glossing over, oh, it's not a big deal, it's online. The fucking death threats. They're death threats.
And his wife posted some of the stuff he got and what she got.
Yeah. And like, it's easy for you to say, like, you've never gotten them. I've got them. I've gone to the cops.
Yep.
I've gone to the cops over them. And they did about as much for me as they did for Nas, which is not much. Because they're still getting a handle on this shit. They don't know how to hold people responsible. And when I brought this stuff to the police, they agreed that I was right to bring it to them. And then at the end of the day, I was basically told, listen, generally speaking in these situations, they just get bored, block them and move on. So that's it. Those are the options. You can just do the shit and get away with it.
Friend of the show, Rick Westhead, said, if Nazem Kadri played sports in the UK, those who have posted online hate versus him might face criminal charges. UK police and prosecutors aggressively pursue threats and hate speech versus pro athletes in those cases. A 19-year-old in March was jailed for 6 weeks for posting hate speech regarding Manchester United's Marcus Rashford, which I remember that story. He said, law enforcement in Canada have told me these cases are complex and hard to prosecute. A warrant is needed for an IP address for the details. So you need to get a warrant just to even find the IP. And then burden of proof is to establish who posted is complicated, especially if the message is using public Wi-Fi. So even if an account posts something and you're the owner of that account and you've posted something racist, what your lawyer can then do is say, well, somebody else had a hold of the account, it was hacked. And so the burden of proof is on the accuser or the prosecutor to say, no, we know it was you. And it's hard to do that when you go, like if you go to Starbucks and you use their Wi-Fi. So it's one of those things where and Rick finishes this off, and I think this is the most important, seems to be just real reluctance to go hard after online hate. And I would agree with that. Now, if you're not fully aware of what happened, and you can be forgiven for not knowing everything. We have a tendency sometimes on this show of believing that everybody's on Twitter all the time, like we are.
I'm bad at that.
And the reality is context is extremely important in this situation. It was just a long weekend in Canada, and people have lives and don't necessarily always, they're not always up to date on this, especially as you have kids, it gets harder and harder. So let's start from the beginning. There was a collision in the previous game between Kadri and Binnington, and there's actually a defenseman from St. Louis in there as well.
Callie Rosen,
who they were traded for each other.
Yes. No, with each other.
With each other, excuse me. That's right. That's right. Now, obviously, the collision is a hard collision, and it leads to Jordan Binnington sustaining an injury that is going to keep him out for the remainder of the series at least. And you know, if you know anything about how the playoffs have run for the St. Louis Blues, you know that they started with Husso, but really have been riding Binnington, right? So it's a big loss to have your goalie go down like
You've
that.
Been playing very well.
What were your thoughts on the original play between Rosen, Binnington, and Kadri?
I thought it was really unfortunate.
It didn't seem like a targeted thing to me.
No, he didn't run the goalie. It was two guys going for a loose puck, and they end up taking out the goalie. I mean, it does happen.
Sure, it does.
It does happen.
Happened in Tampa and Toronto. Jesse?
Happens all the time.
In the play, I thought post game, because that was game 3 on Fridays or Saturdays when that happened. I thought post game, when Kadri was recapping the play, I thought he did the best job of describing what happened there, because he was talking about it's the weak side defenseman who comes over and kind of pushes Kadri towards the net, so he doesn't have really an option to go anywhere but towards Binnington, and he gets a little squeezed. There's no intent on running the goalie, and like you said, Adam, they were really riding Binnington, and I made the case for Binnington for Conn Smythe last week with Steve on the Jesse Blake Sports Report.
Starting to look that way for a while. It was
because he was playing unbelievable, and St. Louis rallied around this, be like, "Oh, Naz is trying to take out our best player," and that's not what happened in that play at all. It's a shame that he got pigeonholed for this when it was really Rosen who squeezed him.
Now, here's where things escalate, because that's a hockey play. And if you're a St. Louis Blues fan, you have every right to be pissed.
Yes.
If that happened to Jack Campbell in the St. Louis or in the Tampa series, I'd be like, fuck. But this is where things get ratcheted up a notch, because after the game, Nazem Kadri is talking on camera, I believe, to the TNT panel.
Yep.
And he looks around him all of a sudden, mid answer.
It was weird.
And he's like, somebody just threw a water bottle at me. I think it was and I believe that he insinuated that it could have been Binnington.
Yeah.
Or that it was Binnington. Now, have we got confirmation that it was?
Another reporter, Baugh, I think his last name was Peter Baugh. Is that his name? He said that it was Binnington.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know if there's footage.
We do have confirmation.
Yeah,
there is confirmation. So Binnington.
Every year in the playoffs, I learn new reporters. And
yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Listen, you're not going to know every reporter. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Not every reporter knows us. It's all good. Binnington. This is where it gets problematic, because Binnington, other than the fact that he causes shit and then walks away all the time. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Blues fans, all the time. Fake punches guys, comes out to center, talks a lot of shit and lets his teammates kind of pick up for him. That's what he does. He also has a history of racist tweets against brown people. If you remember, there was some 2011 tweets that were pulled up when he was a much younger man. Might even have been a teenager at that point, and he was tweeting about
OHL.
I don't even need to get into what he was tweeting about. However, he was tweeting about it, and it was racist. And I don't know. I believe there was an apology issued.
Tweets
but
are still there.
Are they still there?
And they super don't need to be.
Are they still there?
I had never heard about this.
You haven't?
No.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, it happened. Came out right around the time they were either in the playoffs or it was right after they won the cup.
I can't remember. Well, because he wasn't much of a factor in the NHL picture,
Mhm.
and it wasn't until he didn't make it. He didn't make it to the NHL as a regular until long after he was drafted.
Mhm. Yeah, that year, 2019.
Yeah, and then I don't know how people discover
2018.
these things from 2011, 2012, but yeah, they found some pretty shitty stuff.
Oh, wow.
So this is from 2019. There are two tweets from January 25th, 2013. Binnington was 19 at the time, so he was an
13.
adult.
Okay.
Three tweets, actually. And when asked about it, Jeremy Rutherford asked him about it. He said, "It was a while ago when I was a teenager. It was just a little sarcasm and joking around. That's what life is about. You live and you learn and you grow as a human. I'm just here to play a couple hockey games." So it was a non-apology. And obviously...
Don't want to be a distraction.
Right. And so...
That'll be a theme.
So obviously there's a little bit of the fact that Nazem Kadri's background is what it is, and Binnington's background is what his is in terms of the racist tweets that have been associated with him. And from there on, St. Louis fans start to attack Nazem Kadri. Now, you don't find out about this in the moment, obviously. We're not, we don't find out about it till the next day, until we find out there was a report that the police were involved and that potentially Nazem Kadri received so many threats that he was under police watch 24/7, like armed guard.
Yeah. The tweets that or Instagram messages that his wife posted that Mike Stevens then reposted, those are the ones she put out there. I'm willing to bet the ones that the police are aware of are not those ones.
I would bet that too.
Which means they're worse.
Yes, because if you put that out there, then there's legal implications, right? So you have to
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. So all of this happens, and then going into the game, and Jesse, if you could bring up Craig Berube's clip, they asked. So Craig Berube is aware of all this, by the way. He's aware of what happened with Nazem. He's aware of Binnington's pass. He's aware of the throwing of the water bottle. And then he's aware of the abuse thrown at Nazem Kadri because it had broken several hours before. And what was the other? There was another incident with the NHL. It's like where I feel like it was Alain Vigneault a couple of years ago. And he's like, yeah, I just don't. He was like, it was like Black Lives Matter. And he's like, I only focus on hockey. I think it was during Black Lives Matter.
I think you're right.
It was in the bubble when everything was going down with George Floyd, and the NHL was extremely disappointing through that whole situation. And yeah, a whole bunch of coaches were asked about that, and they were just like, I'm here to play hockey.
Yeah, I'm here to be in the bubble. I've lived so much in a bubble that I've not seen the front page of the news for the last month. And so, anyway, long story short, Berube is given an opportunity, guys, to say, I don't agree with what Nazem Kadri did. I feel like X, Y, and Z against my goaltender. However, it's fucking bullshit what's happening to him right now. If you're a fan of the Blues, we don't want you if you're doing this kind of shit. That's all he has to say. It's a perfect answer.
Like, that's not even a tap in, Adam. Like, it's right there on the lip of the hole. And all you got to do is basically blow the thing.
Yeah.
And you got a hole in one. And he right here smacks the golf ball onto a neighboring golf course.
Well, how'd it go today in the morning skate? What's the mindset of the team, would you say?
Yeah, all good. Same. I think our mindset's been in a good spot. Hasn't changed. We got a tough battle tonight and tweak a few things here and there, but good skates this morning, ready to go.
What are your thoughts towards the threats to Kadri?
I got no comment on that stuff.
Do you, on game day, do you talk to the goalies much or no?
No. I say hi to them. That's about it.
Oh. We're all chuckling. This is just regular, right?
I got no comments on that. And it wasn't even about, the thing is I gave you an answer that you could have said, hey, what did you feel about the Nazem Kadri controversial situation that happened in the game? They didn't even ask him about that part. They just asked, what do you think about the threats?
It's so easy to just say,
if you're a Blues fan and you do that, you're not a Blues fan. We don't want you. That's all you have to say.
Yep. That's it. So, like, you're going to get some people saying, like, oh, well, that's a no-win question. Yes, it super is. Yes, it super is a winnable question. Hey, do you think this is bad? Sure do. Do you think this obviously bad thing is bad? Sure do. Don't do it. And he goes, no comment.
And here's the problem, right? So many times in the past, you've had commentators, and I blame, members of the media, of which I'm one, for this. We give former hockey players a pass on these things. Well, they're not great in front of the media. Well, their job is hockey and not speaking for a living. Well, this, well, that. Here's the problem. First off, Craig Berube was an NHLer for like 15 years. He knows how to speak to the media. Number two, when you take on a leadership position in this sport, which means you're a head coach, head anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're a coach, you're a general manager. I don't care if you're assistant or that's a leadership position, CEO, president, whatever it is you want to have that title where you're in the management chain. That's your face next to the head coach. You're a leader and you need to lead. And Craig Berube in that position punted, did not lead, and frankly took an extremely easy question and turned it into, because here's the thing. The people that are going to make these comments to Nazem Kadri have a lot of issues, right? The people that attack on DMs have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
What you've just done to them, remember, these are not fully functioning brains that do this. I don't think. These are not, I don't care how quote unquote smart these people think they are. Anybody that would do that, you got a problem and you need therapy at minimum. The thing with Berube,
you can tell the difference between birds chirping and, okay, this fucking guy's unhinged.
Right. And there seems to be a lot of unhinged lately.
Yeah.
And all Berube had to do was say to them, you're not one of us.
Yeah.
But instead, they take his non-answer as, well, even he agrees. Because that's how they would take that, whether or not he does. And I don't even know. Here's the problem is I walk away from that press conference, and one would assume that the head coach of the other team would not agree with social media attacks against Nazem Kadri. But I don't know, because he didn't answer it. Why would you leave that as a question mark? Ever?
I think he might have been in a bad mood. Can I tell you why I think he might have been in a bad mood?
Tell me. I would love to know.
Because he, the night before, had talked, or it was the night before, or within 48 hours of those comments, talked about Kadri's reputation, which, listen, if I was a member of the St. Louis Blues organization, would I be willing to give Nazem Kadri the benefit of the doubt that he didn't run my goalie? No, probably not. Let's be honest. He was suspended 3 of the last 4 playoffs. No, probably not. But he talked about Kadri's reputation. So a lot of people went, okay, we're playing this game there, Berube? And they
What about Binnington's reputation?
What about Berube's reputation when he was suspended in 1997 when he was a player for a racial slur directed at rookie Pete Worrell?
What? I didn't know about that.
A lot of people didn't know that. And so they put that out there, and it's a story that was long forgotten. And
never knew about it.
Did not know.
It's long forgotten, and he supposedly reached out to Peter Worrell after that and apologized and all that, but the story is resurfaced and it's a headache now. And, we talked about this, not to relate these two stories, but the comparable is it's too on the nose to ignore. Joel Quenneville, during the Blackhawks thing, just didn't want to make waves, didn't want any interruption. His team is doing well. I don't want anyone to interrupt with this playoff run. I don't want any distraction. Our team is doing too well. Here's a story that is, frankly, from a hockey playing perspective, a distraction. And here's a coach punting again. Because the easiest thing to do in the world is ignore. And that's what he's trying to do.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of There's a lot of stuff from the 90s that players, I'm sure, are thrilled is long forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of them.
Oh, yeah. There's a few things that are coming to mind right now. Nazem Kadri goes out in Game 4 in the unfriendly confines in St. Louis after several death threats and a ton of racist shit. Obviously, we've seen what his wife posted. And scores a fucking hat trick.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Scores a fucking hat trick, man. In the NHL playoffs. I think it was his first ever.
Probably.
First playoff hat trick? Yes.
Yeah. That is...
Here's me trying to think of Leaf ones. Oh, no.
That's a fucking gamer right there.
Yeah, man.
That's fucking guts. That's determination. And what Sonny Sachdeva tweeted is all true.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unbelievable statement game on who Nazem Kadri is. You might not like always his play style. Believe me, we had our criticisms here when he got suspended 2 playoffs in a row. I get it.
Which is worthy of criticism.
Worthy of criticism.
Yeah.
But one thing we never ever said in Toronto, and except for like early in his career, and we didn't even have a show then. People were like, sometimes he plays unfocused or he lacks passion, whatever. And I would chalk that up to maturity. You're seeing why Nazem Kadri was drafted 8th overall. You're seeing all the potential, 9th overall. Yeah. You're seeing all the potential that this guy had happening right now. And the Colorado Avalanche are the direct beneficiaries of it.
Yeah.
I thought everything, the way he played last night, the passion, the commitment last night from Nazem Kadri, and it took a ton of commitment to get to that point. Boy, he was the best player on the ice.
Man, I was texting producer Drew about that this morning. Like this, it's no shock. It was always there. It was always there. That's why he got the chances that he did in Toronto. You know, some people were talking about how he was punted from the city. No, man. We hated that he was traded. We understood it, but we hated it, and
None of
us are shocked to see him thrive. No one who watched him play a game in a Leaf uniform is surprised that he's having success in an Avalanche uniform. This was always there. And it breaks my heart a little bit, but I mean...
I'm happy for him.
I am. It's one of those bittersweet things. Like, fuck, I wish you could have done that here, but...
And I think on the other side, we should talk about just the gutless performance by the St. Louis Blues on how they're... Throughout the entire game, David Perron is trying to run him, and it's very blatant, and he's going after him every single chance he has. He's cross-checking him in the back. He has a missed elbow after Kadri scores.
That was crazy. When you watch that replay, holy shit.
That connects. We don't see him until, take your pick, Canadian or American Thanksgiving.
Both of them.
But sure.
Suspensions and injuries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Imagine Kadri is blindsided by that, knocked unconscious. Yeah, we can't see David Perron for a long time. And you talk about a player losing composure. You know, we talked about potential Conn Smythe candidates for the St. Louis Blues if they were to go all the way. David Perron.
Mm-hmm.
David Perron's had an unbelievable playoff.
Mm-hmm. He's been spectacular.
And he was useless to the St. Louis Blues with the mindset that he brought into Game 4.
Which is, he didn't want to play hockey. He wanted to beat up on Kadri.
100%.
That's and that is you can't win like that.
Listen, lay a beating on your opponent, fine. But he played completely distracted, zero head in the game. And you're one of their best players. The Blues can't afford that.
And it cost their team directly because the Blues were still in the game. There's a point where it's 3-1, and then they, just by going at the guys, they caused a 5-on-3 where the Avalanche scored their 4th goal, and at that point it was over.
Jesse Marshall, friend of the show, Jesse Marshall from Pittsburgh, said David Perron with a Hall of Fame night of embarrassing moments. Completely caved at 5-on-5, losing the shot and expected goal battle 30-70%.
Which is a surprise.
He'd be the 30 side. Yeah, I know. Given how he's played, this is an all-time bad game for Perron. Attempts to hit Kadri, bounces off, retaliates with the embarrassing penalty. And that, I believe, was that not right after they killed a penalty? Because he talked about...
That was the one that caused a 5-on-3.
Right.
So it was they were on the penalty kill, and then Perron makes this play, and then that goes to the 5-on-3. I'm pretty sure that's how it went out.
Because what he said afterwards was... listen, I was trying to get the team going, and, we figured if we killed this penalty, we'd be able to rally around it. And it's just such a needless was needless, pointless play. And then obviously the flying elbow that you can see online right now. He tries to elbow Kadri after one of the goals, misses completely. I think it was goal number 2 for Kadri. So just
that the taunt goal?
The taunt goal, I believe, was the, quote unquote the taunt goal. I wouldn't call it a taunt goal, but the can you hear me goal?
Yeah,
or I can't hear you goal.
Awesome. So Buchnevich and Perron got penalties at the same time.
We're reading the
to the
exact same
5-on-3.
thing.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it was at the same time because they both deserve penalties.
No, read them.
So Pavel Buchnevich roughing on Nazem Kadri because he wrecked Kadri from behind after Kadri and Perron had their initial interaction. Then David Perron cross-checking on Nazem Kadri, and I mean, you could have got him for any.
How often do you see the same player receive 2 penalties, or on the receiving end of 2 penalties? You know, they're both against Kadri, or they're on Kadri. It's crazy.
No, I know, and those are in it directly. So how many goals did he score in this game then? You know what I mean? Because I would have said more, or no. Who got the power play goal there? Holy shit, the Avalanche really started the second period on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, man. It's just the St. Louis Blues achieved exactly the opposite of their goal as it pertains to Nazem Kadri.
Yeah. And that's top down. That's on Berube.
Yeah.
It was clearly a distraction. And I get the hockey debate. We can have the debate all night long about, hey, did he run the goalie or not? That's okay. But the off the ice stuff, that's a whole different other world. The threats and the racism. You can speak to that. And then also have your team under control so they're not affected by this stupid hockey thing about him running the goalie. Mm-hmm. He lost control of his team.
And you know what? You can't have your best playoff. It's Kyrou and Perron. Those are the 2 best players for St. Louis right now. You can't have one of them doing that. Mm-hmm. You just can't. I want you to put it in the context. If you're a Leaf fan, put it in the context if Marner or Matthews were doing that. We would be shredding them.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'd be tearing them apart.
If Matthews was out there throwing elbows at guys after the whistle?
It would be, people would be like, that's insane. You cannot do that and expect to win. Now, I got to say,
$5,000 fine for Perron for cross-checking Kadri.
Just
Is
announced.
that what your phone just vibrated?
Yeah.
Well, that's timely.
Wow. That is the most timely tweet we've ever seen. Usually that breaks after the show.
Wow.
Good thing we're late today.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, phone.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I wonder, the NHL doesn't do anything preemptively when it comes to discipline, supplemental discipline. So that's what he got for the cross-check. And if anyone thinks he's going to get anything for the elbow that didn't connect, I wouldn't
bet on it.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
No. So anyway, long story short, I want this to be about Kadri. I want this to be about overcoming things that you shouldn't have to overcome. It's an amazing game. One that I don't think he'll ever forget.
The best of his playoff career.
Absolutely. What a shame that it had to come under these circumstances. And, I was cheekily giving producer Drew the gears about Colorado never making it out of the second round, and I was gonna kind of give him a hard time or whatever, but I basically made it impossible to cheer for the Blues as an outsider, to be honest. Right now, I just can't. I can't. After that, listen, the fans are not reflective of the team. Those shitty fans are not reflective of the Blues or their fans overall. I know that, but the Buchnevich and the Perron stuff, you're like, man, and Binnington throwing a water bottle, you're like, come on, guys.
Perron was the first guest of Agent Provocateur.
He was great.
He
lost his fucking marbles last night, though.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, anyone who's like, oh, you were always going to cheer for Nas. Well, it's not like we don't have a bit of a soft spot for Dave for throwing us that bone, but he had a shitty game. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
I picked the Blues to win the Stanley Cup in my bracket. And on a Thursday, I was making a case for Binnington for Conn Smythe, and I was going to do a hashtag Blues Leave. Blue Leave.
Blues leave, believe, but blues.
Oh, boo!
I was trying it out.
It's not good.
And in 48 hours, because that was the day of the game, and in 48 hours, it's over. This team isn't winning shit, and I can't cheer for this squad. That's so embarrassing in every single way. And also, Husso just awful performance.
I wouldn't write them off in terms of potentially winning, but if you're a neutral party and you got to you got to choose between the two. Like, yeah,
I'm writing them off.
yeah.
I think it's pretty tough.
Well, they're going back to Colorado.
Yeah, that's gonna be
That sucks.
that's gonna be a crazy barn. That is gonna be the game to watch, especially the first 5 minutes. That's gonna be wild.
Yeah. Bednar is going to have the Herculean task of, because the Killer Instinct games are supposed to be the calm games.
Yeah,
And that building is going to be outrageous. Outrageous. You got to keep that whole team. All right. We got a job here. Let's do it.
yeah.
Here we go.
So, Steve, you mentioned there is one more thing I want to mention. Well, maybe a couple of things we have to mention before this is all kind of wrapped up. You know, again, I wanted to make this about Nazem Kadri and the success he's seen, but it's you mentioned the taunt thing.
Mm-hmm.
And on Hockey Night in Canada last night, that's what Ron McLean called it. And if you watch the clip, basically Ron is saying that Nazem Kadri doesn't need to do the hand of the ear.
Mm-hmm. This is after his second goal, the one that came after the penalties.
That's right.
Yeah, he taunts the crowd.
Doesn't need to do that to enrage the crowd because it makes life harder on the refs.
Well, the ref part is, I think,
Ron's a ref.
Extrapolated, but yeah, that's what I got from it. I don't know. Listen. What's Naz supposed to do? Like, what's he supposed to do? Just hooray? And no, that's why hockey is so far down the depth chart of professional sports in North America. If Naz wants to rub it in to the St. Louis fan base, I think that's a great thing for the sport. As a neutral observer, I think it rules. He's probably got some justified anger towards that fan base, and some of you Blues fans might be like, hey, well, it wasn't me. Well, no. But, he's scored a goal against your team and feels good about it. I think that's great.
What I'm bummed about as a broadcaster, we've had Ron on this show. Mm-hmm. I thought that comment showed a complete lack of empathy for what Nazem Kadri had just gone through 48 hours before that. I expect more. I just do. If you want to talk about a comment that really, like, no offense to the referees listening, but nobody fucking cares.
It's not.
They know.
Yeah, he's like, Ron mentions, well, this is a first-year ref and you're making life hard on him. He's an NHL ref. Yeah. If he can't handle it, then get him out of there. If he can't handle it, he shouldn't be doing the second round of the playoffs. Okay? Enough of that. I don't give a shit. I've seen people walk back shit that they've said about the refs on that panel before because they get a call, and it's driving me crazy that we're talking about the refs when the actual story, which they have sidestepped, is that Nazem Kadri was attacked for 48 hours on his social media, death threats, had to be under police protection going into this game. How could we possibly go there? And for me, I think what's so surprising is Ron is known as an empathetic person. Ron is known as somebody who advocates for communities that are downtrodden. Mm-hmm. That's been his CV, man. It's on his resume. So I thought that the comment, I have to say, I thought that it did not put enough, not even close to enough empathy for what Naz has gone through. Don't tell a man how to react after what he's just been through. Are you fucking kidding me? Come on. That's Hockey Night in Canada in this country. And if you're an American, I apologize. Maybe you don't understand. You probably do.
I think,
but maybe no one's told you this. But Hockey Night in Canada is considered the pinnacle of broadcasting. I would have sold one of my arms to be a host for that show at one point. Now I just like doing our own network. It's kind of more fun. I grew up loving that show. I grew up loving that host and wanting to desperately be a part of it because it just seemed like the place to be. And when you make comments like that, you take away that love and that feeling of belonging that Hockey Night in Canada is so special for a large chunk of the population. And I think that needs to be addressed. I hope that is addressed today.
Whether to put it in wrestling terms, you see Kadri as the babyface or the heel in this situation, him, bringing the fire and interacting, I think it's awesome.
It's the best.
Yep. It's the best, and I can't see how it's a bad thing. Also, Tim Peel, who was a ref like a year ago, tweeted Nazem Kadri's name, spelled wrong, with a turtle, a picture of a turtle. So, like,
meaning what?
Meaning
that he
the
runs
Kadri
away
turtles.
from a fight. He runs away from a fight.
Right.
Because I would have assumed slow. I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, right. So, like, shying away from a fight. And this was a dude who, like, a year ago
Was managing these games.
Well, his responsibility, managing is a very interesting word, Adam. But, like, you know, you were in charge of protecting these players, right? So you got a ref whose official opinion appears to be, fuck it, just fight him.
Right.
You're not allowed to fight, man. Like, it's a penalty, remember?
It's just going back on what Adam was saying there, just outside of the Kadri situation, from a broadcaster perspective, I don't know why hockey commentators love telling hockey players to, like, tighten up their tie and not celebrate anything. Can we get away from not celebrating scoring in a sport and being happy that you accomplished something? Like, who cares? Athletes should be encouraged to taunt and show their personality while they're playing and while they're on television. This is exciting stuff. And it's a shame to hear broadcasters still, in this day and age, trying to talk athletes out of not celebrating their accomplishments.
Kadri,
It's crazy.
Ovechkin.
Right.
Yeah,
and this isn't
reminds-
just an accomplishment, guys. It's what he's, you know what I mean? It's,
Right. But it reminds me of when Don Cherry was on TV for all the years and talking down these junior kids for scoring 9 goals in a game and being happy about it. It reminds me of that
Crosby.
stuff.
Yeah, Crosby.
Crosby scored in Michigan in junior, and it was the last time he did it, probably because of that shit.
The other thing is, we missed this in the clip that we played, but Kadri did start off that clip at the beginning saying he was not happy with Berube's comments. And he said, starting with their head coach, he made some comments I was not a fan of. I guess he's never heard of bulletin board material. So he felt the same way we did about those comments.
He's letting them know.
And what Peel
you
tweeted,
lost because of you.
What Peel tweeted was Nazem Kadri bringing up Craig Berube in the post-game news conference shows me why he was shipped out of Toronto. It's about him and not about the team.
God, that just doesn't make sense, Tim. That doesn't.
That's a
make
nonsensical take. It's
What?
It's so rooted in so many. It's so bad.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. The scoring was almost exclusively about him. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know. That sounds like somebody also trying to stir up drama to boost their own profile, if I'm being completely honest.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
Wow. Man, I think, guys, we got to do better than this.
Yep. This is all
And
embarrassing.
I think honestly, as you know, as networks surrounding the game, because there's 3 different networks here. I think we all have to, like, we're all going to fuck up. We're all going to make mistakes. I have made mistakes. Steve has made mistakes. Jesse's made mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Hey.
Okay, Steve's never made a mistake.
No, I've made lots of mistakes.
But this one's a slam dunk, guys. As you said, it's a tap in, Berube. It's a tap in.
Tap in.
So I guess we leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to see this next game. And I hope what it is in Colorado, honestly, and I think this is what it'll be support cheers. You know what I mean? Like
Nazem Kadri
like,
Day.
Yeah.
Like Tavares after the Islanders
Make it
game.
Nazem Kadri Day in Denver.
Yeah.
Make it that. Don't make it about the Blues or about the flying elbow or about make it about Kadri and bringing that guy up.
Yeah.
That's the guy. That's your guy.
These debates we have in sports, they should never reach this point where people are getting threats. Like, you can talk about the running the goalie, but it shouldn't reach the point where we leave the sporting world and now somebody's family feels threatened.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that just stupid idiot fans make it this way.
At the end of the day, it's a piece of ice with a rubber puck and a bunch of knife shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
Bring it down to that level, everybody.
Yeah. There's, listen, I know people say stupid and crazy shit online all the time, but again, you don't quite know what it feels like not knowing if the person is going to act on what they're saying.
There it is. Now, we got the rest of the show to talk about the other incredible things that are happening. We got to talk about Connor McDavid. We got to talk about the Lightning sweeping the Panthers. We got to talk about what that means for interim head coach and Jack Adams nominee Andrew Burnett, and a few other things too, including Giordano re-signing in Toronto. But first, let's get into You Can Bet That with David Bashel. We've got sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. You can sign up, But 19 plus, please play responsibly. And for tips on responsible gaming, just check the description on the video or anywhere you get your podcast. David Bastel, you can bet that. And we have a brand new Conn Smythe favorite at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. I mean, it is sportsinteraction.com, but I'm going to use the /SDPN for this segment. Dave.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you think that Steve or Jesse will get this?
You know what? I'm going to say, and not that I don't think they can get it. I'm going to say it's kind of tricky because the guy isn't even listed in the top 5 scores right now. So a lot of people are going, well, who the heck is that?
So it's not Connor McDavid.
Nope.
So strike him from the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you put on that in there who is not a top scorer?
Top 5.
Top 5 scorer.
Not a top 5 scorer.
In the NHL playoffs.
Okay, I'm looking east, and I'm going to say Andrei Vasilevsky.
Okay, Jesse.
I know who it is. So I'm going to tell you who it is, and then I'm going to tell you who I think it should be.
Okay, there you go.
It is Cale Makar.
That's correct.
The Colorado Avalanche are the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
Right.
So the favorite, then the best player on that team should be the favorite to win the Conn Smythe.
Okay.
top 5?
So that makes sense. Not in scoring, no.
Not in scoring, no. Who it should be is Connor McDavid.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So are you saying the Oilers are going to the Cup final then? Because they have to go to the Cup final if that is, because right now, because that's what I was going to talk about. Connor McDavid, you could get him at about 9.31. So that's awesome value, but he has to go to the Stanley Cup final to cash that ticket. And when he gets to the Stanley Cup final, if that's the case, that number is going to cut to a 1 or a 2. So the value is now if you believe in McDavid.
Now, I know a lot of people in Edmonton do, but you can't fault us for thinking, okay, maybe they get past Calgary. Maybe. But I don't know how you get past the Avalanche in the third round. I just don't know how that's possible.
Man. You've never watched the playoffs, have you?
That's true.
You don't believe in Mike Smith enough, do you?
don't. I never have. And speaking
The
of
worst goalies in him have won the cup.
Battle of Alberta. What's interesting, David, is when we had this conversation last week, the last time we talked to you, the odds were completely the opposite way.
Correct.
The favorite going into the next game as a series winner is who?
The favorite as a series winner, the Edmonton Oilers are the series favorites right now. And the Edmonton Oilers are favorites in game number 4. Therefore, the value is on the Calgary Flames. If you believe in the Calgary Flames like I do, you bet the Calgary Flames tonight and you bet them on the series, because as soon as they win tonight, okay, maybe they won't. No. As soon as they win tonight, that number's going to drop, guys. That number's going to drop.
I also like this one. When will the series finish? 5 games. It has the highest value odds. So if you think that Edmonton wins the rest of the way, it's a 4.49. So that's not bad value for what you're paying in. I mean, listen, I think this series is going 7 games. It has to, right? Doesn't it?
I think so too.
I like our segment because we talk ourselves into and out of every bet
and David, when you're back on Friday, we got lots of great stuff, including, and this is for everybody who's a big soccer fan, Champions League on Saturday, Liverpool and Real Madrid.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that on Friday, and I'm going to leave you with this, guys. So I want you to do some homework here. I'm going to get each of you to give me a winner of Saturday's Champions League final. Liverpool, as you mentioned, Real Madrid. It's pretty even right now as far as money going both ways, but Liverpool are the favorites right now.
Okay.
So you got a couple of days to kind of figure out your Champions League final winner.
You know, my favorite part about doing this show, David, and you're new to this, but you'll know as you go on that Jesse and I love doing our homework. Steve, as soon as he leaves this room, will forget it until the moment we're about to talk about
I
it.
have an answer before either of you. My father-in-law listens, and I'm not stupid. Liverpool.
Dave Bastel, you can bet that. We'll be back on Friday with more. Go to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Of course, it's 19 plus. David, have a great rest of the week, and hopefully by the time we get back on Friday, we're still talking about the Battle of Alberta, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
So you need to find the right candidates and you need to hire them fast. You should check out Workable. Workable can help. Workable accelerates every step of the hiring process from find to hire. And Workable helps you cast the widest possible net by posting all of your jobs to all the top job boards. They help you with video interviews and e-signatures, and they will even automate repetitive tasks like scheduling interviews so you can spend your time on what's important. Like, I don't know, watching all of Austin Matthews' 60 goals on YouTube this summer.
It takes longer every year.
That's true. Whether you're hiring for your coffee shop or, I don't know, SDPN, Workable is exactly what you need to hire the right people. Start hiring right now with a risk-free 15-day trial. Just know that if you hire during the trial, it doesn't cost you anything. And a lot of people will. Workable.com. Start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy. Hey, did you know that Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up basically on like some complicated supplement routine? It cost him $100 a day.
He wasn't very poopy. He
needs
to get more poopy. You know?
He maybe, possibly.
No, I'm just guessing.
Listen. That is not a part of the script story, but
we should find out.
You know, maybe
Was he poopy enough?
It's not. I stole Adam's laptop.
Okay. He did create Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was for an optimal routine. We made fun of TJ from Virgin Radio on this about, having his own, his girlfriend lay out his pills every morning. You don't have to do that with Athletic Greens. It costs you less than $3 a day. It's cheaper than getting all those different supplements yourself, and you're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. It's keto, it's paleo, it's vegan, it's dairy-free, it's gluten-free, and it contains less than 1 gram of sugar. And here's what you need to do right now. Time to reclaim your health and your immune system, especially heading into flu and cold season, which, again, you can hear a little bit of it in my voice right now.
Stay away from me.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/SDP. Again, athleticgreens.com/SDP to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. The Oilers are the odds-on favorites to win the series now.
Well,
and as I said at the beginning of the weekend, it was the complete opposite. Connor McDavid has 20 points already.
23.
23 points, excuse me.
23 in 10 games.
Now, what he did to the Flames,
stupid. Oh
what
my God.
What he did to the Flames this weekend was nothing short of disrespectful.
Oh my God.
But I think, and I'd like to take a moment, I know we got to talk about Connor and how amazing he's been and how many ankles he broke. Remember that one, that one play was just blasting down the wing and it's just him alone and none of the Flames can touch him. The disrespect that the Calgary Flames brought to their own game.
Interesting.
Do the Calgary Flames want to play hockey or do they want to beat Edmonton?
Well,
Game 3 it sure didn't feel that way.
So, how many teams currently in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or even in the first round, so we'll take the 16 teams that made the Stanley Cup playoffs, how many of them looked worse than they did in the regular season? Maybe Nashville, and you can forgive them because they didn't have their starting goalie. And Calgary. Calgary looks worse.
Florida.
Oh, okay, so 3.
Both rounds too. They barely got by Capitals.
Well, we're gonna get to it. And
it's weird that they won in 6 and we're like still bad. Anyway, but like there aren't many teams. Well, certainly aren't many teams left that are playing worse hockey than they did in the regular season, and I think the Flames might be the last one standing.
Yep. Yeah.
And Matthew Tkachuk's comment that we are letting one guy beat us. Sorry, is this from when you were getting stymied by Jake Ottinger or this series? Is that, what about all those Draisaitl plays? What about you're not able to get the best of Mike Smith? What about Zach Hyman just completely obliterating you guys? You have the second best goalie in the series.
Yeah, which is unacceptable.
It's totally unacceptable.
You can't have that. You can't have that.
Are you kidding?
Markstrom's struggles seem to be, like, in particular against the Oilers. There were some interesting stats. In his last 20 starts against Edmonton, so his regular season and playoffs, he's 9-11 with an .883.
Wow.
And 2 of his wins in that 9-11 were the 9-6 victory and then another one that was 9-5.
Somebody, remember I told you last week that after the 9-6 game, I was going back and forth with an Edmonton fan, and he was like, listen, Markstrom sucks against Edmonton.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
And he's not wrong. I mean, look at this. I mean, he is allowed, this is fucking wild. In 3 games, guys, 15 goals.
He's been awful.
So I'm eager to stream Battle of Alberta Game 4 tonight because I
that's right. You're doing that thing.
Yeah, and I missed games 2 and 3 because I was in Winnipeg.
9:30 p.m. start. Podcast tomorrow. Good luck getting here on time.
I'm not.
Well, at least he doesn't have the LFR to do. That'll keep him up till like 3 a.m.
No, you got to do it. LFR for the Oilers.
CEFR. We're picking it up in Game 4. BOFR. BOA.
And you could say, whoever wins, you could just say, Flames win.
Flames win.
Edmonton wins. You could say it all the time. Victory puppies every game.
Oh, fuck yeah. Let's go. No. Well, but that thing about that game, the most surprising thing about that game is that the Flames won. Like, because the second, when Edmonton made it 6-5, I was like, oh, I know this feeling. Feeling that goal 6 for the Oilers is inevitable.
Yep.
I know this feeling.
I've been here.
Yep. And then they did it in like record fashion. They did it like right at the beginning of the third. And the most confusing part about that is that the Flames were able to come back and win. This was a team who, like, I had them going to the final. I also had the Leafs going to the final, so that's what you can do with my opinion. But they've been in a team that I've identified for months plays a playoff style of hockey. But that involves, like, composure as well. That's not just they like to hit. And I know they've outshot their opponents very often in these playoffs, but
they're outshooting the Flames or the Oilers right now. It's 40-36 average shots per game on each side.
Average. Well, I mean, the first game.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know what it was from game to game to game. I haven't exactly been looking at
2
the
and 3.
box
There's
scores.
only 2 more.
Oh, okay. Like.
But here's the thing, guys. You look at game 2, okay? Just let's look at game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Calgary picks up where it leaves off. They finish the first period up 2-1. They score within 2 minutes of the beginning of the second period. So they're up 3-1. But they can't, like the Leafs, hold that lead. No. And they lose 5-3, right? And it's McDavid who scores, right after Toffoli, which is sort of a dagger, right? And then from there, Bouchard, Hyman, and Draisaitl. And I think
the Flames see McDavid under their bed, man. Like, again, they have this lead, but McDavid scores. And they play with this body language of, oh, fuck.
Right.
Here it comes.
And this is why I want to focus on that, because everybody's focusing on McDavid and the Oilers, and I get that. And he is amazing. Mm-hmm. He's the best player on earth. Maybe not the best player right now if Matthews was still playing. But you know what I'm saying, right? He's the best player on earth. But the Calgary Flames are a fantastic hockey club who have a reputation, not this season, but up to this season, of underplaying their talent perennially. Berkey couldn't figure it out, remember? Mm-hmm. 5 years ago, they're like, oh, we don't know what the hell to do here. Mm-hmm. And for every year since, it's been like, man, they're either 1 and out, or they're like, we just couldn't even make the playoffs in the Canadian division. And again, they're coming in here, and they have the talent to beat the Oilers. They're a deeper team. They have 3 40-goal scorers, I think.
They're better in every facet, frankly.
Everything.
Except for the stars.
They're a better constructed team.
I'd say,
okay, maybe
I'd take McDavid and Draisaitl as the 1 and 2 best players in the series.
Sure.
You're right. But in terms of overall offense, Flames.
Yeah, you follow that up with, here's the thing. If you say McDavid and Draisaitl are the best 2 players in the series, I follow that up with yes and, because I'm an improv, yes and, Johnny Gaudreau, Matt Tkachuk, and Lindholm are the next 3.
Evander Kane.
Oh, man.
He's been amazing.
Natural hat-trick, Caney.
Man, a lot of people...
Is that what they call him? Caney?
Kane. Because he's Evander Kane.
Kane.
I think Caney is what we're going with.
Kane, what are you, a supply teacher? Kane, comma, E.
Anyway, continue. No,
let's his initial.
But I would say, with no offense to Evander Kane,
it's very clever.
I would say that Gaudreau, Tkachuk, and Lindholm have been better.
It's very funny. No, as a unit, yeah.
I think they're better.
As a unit, yeah. I mean, from what we saw this season, as a defense core, Markstrom's a Vezina nominee versus Mike Smith, no offense.
Mm-hmm. Who definitely probably should have been out a little longer for his concussion protocol.
Yeah.
That was...
We're going to talk about that one?
Yeah.
How he goes to the... So concussion protocol right now in the NHL is all based... it's all verbal. So the player confirms and does the checks verbally, and there's no physical checks that the doctor has to do. So if Mike Smith goes back and he goes to the back and he tells the doctor who's doing the concussion protocol, pulled them out of the game, and he says, "Hey, these things, no, I don't have them. I'm good to go back in." Then that's all the doctor can do
because it's the NHL covering its ass.
That's it.
It's not about keeping the player out. It's actually about the responsibility falling to the player to take themselves out.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
So now there's no liability on the NHL's part because they did their checks and now he gets to go back in.
It's the you can't sue us clause.
Right. There should be more done in concussion protocol to check a player for a concussion.
Here, I have a...
that's all I want to say.
Going back to Matthew Tkachuk's we're being beaten by one guy comment, can I read you something that melted my brain?
Sure.
It melted my brain. 3 players since the 2017 playoff, the beginning of the 2017 playoff, have 45 points.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Stone, who has played 65 games, Steven Stamkos, who has played 56 games, and Connor McDavid, who has played 31. That blew my mind almost as much as this next one. 3 players have 46 points. Joe Pavelski, who has played 63 games. Jonathan Marchessault, who has played 66 games. And Leon Draisaitl, who has played 31. Since the beginning of their careers, Leon Draisaitl is outscoring Connor McDavid in the playoffs. Even after these playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're finally seeing what we see over 82 games in a 7-game series from the Edmonton Oilers. We haven't seen this yet, where they've been so dominant, where they're just going to walk away with every Art Ross trophy for the next 10 years. We've seen that over 82 games. We're finally seeing it in a 7-game series.
We weren't allowed to see it, though, the way it was ref before.
Oh, yeah.
Like versus Winnipeg, you could... Winnipeg, the Jets... Okay, Jets fans, let's level. There's no way the Jets should have won that series.
So I got...
There's no fucking way.
I got chirped because I...
a sweep?
It was. Yeah. Listen, come on.
Yeah,
you saw what we saw. Come on.
I got chirped because I was in an airport watching Florida, Tampa, and Tampa wins, and they go up 3-0, and Florida never really looked close. And I tweeted, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe the Leafs basically had these guys on the ropes. Like, they were winning game 6 in the third period. And people got in my face about, like, what? Like, you would have beaten the Panthers? Fucking yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Leafs would have beaten the Panthers.
Can we save this for the Panthers thing that we're doing next, though?
Okay, fine. But as it pertains to the Winnipeg Jets,
sure.
Someone goes, he said they would have beat the Jets last year, too.
The Leafs would have...
Are you dumb?
The Leafs would have destroyed the Jets. Would have destroyed the Jets. Yeah.
You shouldn't have beaten the Oilers. The Oilers outplayed you in 4 games out of 4, despite the fact that they were given none of the power plays that they should have been. What are you talking about? So maybe we're seeing a few corrections meet for the perfect storm. Jay Woodcroft is a superior coach for the Edmonton Oilers, so all our expectations for them heading into these playoffs are skewed because we're looking at their cumulative experience over the season, and it's just not... It just doesn't paint an accurate picture of what the team is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you need as many games as possible for a full vision statistically, but I think when you get a new coach in there, it screws it up. When you get a Vander Kane in there, it screws it up. Right? Like, those are 2 very significant changes. And also, they're calling penalties now. And they're still not calling as many as they could.
I got to read you the list of Edmonton Oilers coaches.
Since when?
Yeah.
Just forever?
Forever.
That's going to take a while.
When are we going back to?
Well, okay. So Jay Woodcroft finally has the Oilers playing like the Oilers should have been playing.
Okay, starting 79. That was Gretzky's
Well,
first
no, I'm
season.
going to read backwards. We're going to go backwards here. Tippett for 2 years. Hitchcock for a half season before, or for a full season before that. Todd McClellan before that. Todd Nelson before that. Dallas Aikens before that. Ralph Kruger before that. Tom Rennie before that. Pat Quinn before him. Craig McTavish. Kevin Lowe.
Who are still there.
They're there. They're always there.
They're never going to leave.
Pat Quinn, he's the best coach they've had since Pat Quinn. He's the best coach they've had since Pat Quinn, Jay Woodcroft. And Pat Quinn was a great coach who was handed an absolute shite roster.
Ken Hitchcock didn't do too bad of a job.
He had, he was, 26 and 28.
Who coached in 2017? That was McClellan, right?
That was McClellan. He was the first 4 years of McDavid. Mm-hmm. And McClellan's a good coach. He's done well with LA.
He did well with LA, who I still think would have given Edmonton a tougher time with Doughty.
But with McDavid,
I don't think is a hot take.
With McDavid and Draisaitl, he had a .502 winning percentage.
Oh, gross. Oh, God.
Over 4 seasons.
Yeah, no.
That's nowhere near good enough.
No.
Tip had a .596.
That's much better.
Tippett and McClelland are the only coaches since Craig McTavish from 2001 to 2008-09, and that, I believe, includes their Stanley Cup run, to have a winning percentage over 4.
Man.
Well, they had 4. They have a few people in the 4s, but over 5, I guess.
Oilers fans listening, we know our coaches suck. I get it.
Woodcroft deserves a lot of credit here. Now,
I know who might deserve a lot of credit as well? His assistant coach, Glenn Gulletson. Former Calgary Flames coach.
Oh! Thrower of sticks.
Who famously Joey bat flipped a stick into the audience.
He seems like a great guy, but don't put him in front of the media. He's one of the most miserable people in front of the media
I wonder
that I've ever seen in my life.
I wonder how much of his influence is, I know how these guys operate. I know Kachuk and Gaudreau. I know how to get to them. And he's coaching them in a way where they can defeat this team.
I wouldn't be shocked, man.
You know?
Now, also, Edmonton outshot Calgary 41-33.
Yeah.
So this is what I was saying, right? Jesus, how bad was? Because I don't know what the box score was in game 2, but I don't know. Did McDavid take all 41 shots there, Matt? I don't know about that. I think you guys just kind of lost.
Man,
you should maybe not.
We'll see if the Flames, as much as Edmonton has been great, I don't feel like Calgary. That's not the Calgary team I watched. That's not the Calgary team that I picked to go to the 3rd round. No way.
You got to win. Now you're in a position where you got to win at least one game on the road.
Yeah. Probably
tonight, 2. I think tonight has to be that game.
Let me ask you something. You're heading into the shower.
Fine.
What's your number 1 goal?
Get unstinky.
Have no pubes.
That.
How can we accomplish that, Adam?
Well, how do I get there, Adam?
If you have the lights,
how do I do it?
If you don't have any lights in your bathroom, you could use the Manscaped tool, and it has a 4000K LED light, so you can still see. How about that? You can then follow that up by lathering on the new Ultra Premium Body Wash with aloe vera and sea salt. And when it's your hair care time, apply the 2-in-1 shampoo. And when you hop out of the shower, it's the Manscaped aluminum-free deodorant. If you have tattoos or dry skin like I do, no tattoos, just dry skin. I'm not that cool. Let your skin use the hydrating body moisturizer spray. It's infused with the power of red algae from the Pacific Ocean. And of course, you can finish that off by plumping up those sexy lips with Manscaped Lip Balm.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, man.
Listen, you know what we're talking about here. Get 20% off and free shipping with Manscaped. Use the promo code DANGLE. Again, 20% off and free shipping. Use the promo code DANGLE. Accomplish all your shower goals, Jesse, like
having no pubes.
It's time to get wet, but be clean and soft with Manscaped's shower routine. If you're tired of paying high interest and you need to consolidate your credit card, you should check out Lightstream. A lot of people don't realize this, but credit cards have terribly high interest rates. Even if you got excellent credit, it could be 20% or 30% or even higher. So stop overpaying and take control of your finances. Lightstream believes people with great credit deserves a great rate, and that's what they give you. It's way lower than most credit cards. And if you've got credit card debt that's been hanging around for a while, you might feel stuck with those high rates. Lightstream can actually work for you to get the payments down and the interest down. So you might want to check this out. You go to lightstream.com/STP. That's LIGHTSTREM.com/STP. Apply now to get a special interest rate discount and save even more. Subject to credit card approval, rates from 5.73 APR to 19.99 APR. Includes 0.5 auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/STP for more information. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And listen, life can be overwhelming. A lot of people are feeling burned out. You might not even know it. And if you're feeling burnt out, it can be lack of motivation. You feel helpless. You feel trapped, detached. Burnout for me really is I relate it to being in like the oven for too long. You know what I mean? At the end of the hockey season, usually I'm close to that, and it's sort of like if I have a hard time getting up for the show, if I have a hard time if I'm looking at the show going, this seems too overwhelming to me, that's when I know I'm in burnout mode, because I love doing this.
Well, I never.
It's happened to me.
That's when you know the fries are burnt.
That's right. Yeah. Now we associate it with work, but it's not the only cause, and BetterHelp can help with that. They've customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't even have to be on camera. You know, for a lot of people, they don't want to be in the same room. They don't want to be on camera. It's too much. And BetterHelp is great with that. They also get you a therapist within 48 hours, which is really a big challenge for people that finally make that decision. So this podcast, as I told you, sponsored by BetterHelp, and Steve Dangle Podcast listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/SDP. Again, that's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/SDP. Let's move on to the Lightning, who sweep the Panthers. The NHL's leading top goal scoring team scores 3 goals in 4 games.
Okay, so here's how it worked. Wait. Say it again.
The NHL's top scoring team, the Florida Panthers, scored 3 goals in 4 games. At the time that Tampa's first goal was called back, Florida was out shooting Tampa 25-7.
He's a scout for the Edmonton Oilers.
Jesse,
before we move on to Florida.
Sorry, I was too distracted, Adam. I saw it on the screen. I couldn't let it go.
Before we go to the Florida Panthers, the Edmonton Oilers have a thing, if you're not aware, about how half of their coaching staff and scouting staff and everybody who runs this team are ex-Oilers and alumni.
Okay.
A member of their scouting staff is Paul Messier, the brother of Mark Messier. That's all I was looking at, Steve.
Yeah. Did Grav ask him to hold a cookie over his head?
They have gone so deep in we gotta hire ex-Oilers and ex-great players that they've hired Mark Messier's brother.
How are you looking at that page?
I was checking that Glenn Gulletson was still assistant in Edmonton, so I was on their
Maybe he's a good scout.
Maybe he's a good scout. We don't know. It was just funny, and that's why Steve laughed.
So, again, I'm going to set up the Lightning Panthers. Now, you've heard all this before, but I'm going to say it again.
Okay, so they only scored 3 goals in 4 games.
I hadn't heard that.
Man,
did you know that they were the NHL scoring team? That high scoring team, that's insane.
It's with Alan Walsh-Quire and Jonathan
Huberdeau. That's crazy. Now, Tampa had 2 goals called back, and as I told you, they were being outshot 25-7 at one point. Now, I'm not saying Florida.
You're just going to gloss over the most exciting moment of the Stanley Cup playoffs,
which is that where they pull a goal back.
No, the 9-minute review.
Oh,
to see if the
puck hit the net.
But we can't review penalties in the third period.
No, because that is inconsequential.
It's inconsequential, and it slows the game down too much. Guys, are we fucking joking?
I would like to talk about the series, though.
Go for it.
If I could. I'm not saying Florida needed to win this series. Okay? But
I am.
I don't think they needed to win this. I think they needed to listen, they wanted to win it. But you wouldn't be like, hey, Florida's toast if they don't win this series. Now, we'll talk about it in a second. Give me a sec. But Florida collapsed. Florida caved. I asked you against Washington if the Panthers were frauds. I'm going to ask you again. Were the Florida Panthers frauds?
Florida winning a series in 6 games being a disappointment makes them very impressive frauds. I think fraud is too strong. I think they are what we said they were. An extremely strong regular season team. So strong, in fact, that they were able to win a series on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
Against it, they went, 6 games?
Yep.
6 games. They went down 2-1.
Yep.
Against a Tom Wilsonless Washington Capitals team. That can't happen.
They cannot.
But now we're going to apply Leafs logic to this. This is great. I'm having fun with this. So Tampa, who went 7 with the Leafs. No. The only reason that series went 7 is Tampa wasn't trying, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what happened?
Oh, yeah. That's what happened. They weren't trying.
Yeah.
And the only reason that the Panthers went 6 with the Capitals is they weren't trying at them.
Is that what it was?
What?
They weren't trying.
They just weren't trying.
The hockey team wasn't trying to win a hockey game.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Struggling with that
Tampa, you know how Tampa's plan the whole time in the first round? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be losing this series 3 different times. We're going to have it go 7 games. So we're super in game shape for the second round. And during the 7th game, we're going to have our best center's leg explode.
They planned all of that.
They planned all of that.
Yes, totally.
And then the second round comes around, and John Cooper, and this is why he was neglected for the Jack Adams. Like I don't know what the NHL is thinking, not putting him in the conversation. But he said, "All right, guys, let's try." And Vasilevsky, it's like a sports movie. He just looks up slowly, and he's like, "I'm going to stop every puck." And Cooper goes, "Yes." And Hedman looks up and he's like, "I'm going to be big and tall in front of the net." And he goes, "Do that. Absolutely do that." And Point looks up and he goes, "I'm not going to play because my leg exploded in game 7. And Cooper goes, "That's exactly what we had in mind." And like, I just don't understand the mental gymnastics people go through to just listen. It was a close series, for fuck's sake.
Came down to 1 goal. 1 goal.
Came down to 1 goal. Now, imagine the Leafs lose a series to Tampa Bay without Braden Point at all. We're having a very different conversation about the team. We're not having a conversation.
Oh, no, not just that, but in 4 games.
In 4 games. The Florida Panthers got holy shitting swept by a team missing their top center. Wasn't that the excuse that we gave Montreal all through the playoffs last year? Well, only reason they made the Stanley Cup final is every team they played didn't have their top center. So what we learned here is the Florida Panthers aren't even as good as last year's Montreal Canadiens.
That's a jump of logic.
That's a bit of a jump.
No! Oh, that's the jump of logic. Yeah, that's the jump of logic.
Listen,
You went too far,
Steve.
Don't meet the goofy people on their goofy fields.
No,
You don't need to out goofy the goofy.
Sometimes
You can't do
I like to
everything.
use their own goofy logic out loud just to show how fucking stupid it is.
You just did everything you were making
Now,
fun of.
Sorry, I was holding this in all of Winnipeg.
I can tell.
Somebody was asking me on Twitter the other day, because I do feel, if you're asking, I feel much better as a Leafs fan about how that series went. I felt good about it when we left in Game 7. We talked about it.
Why are you making this all about the Leafs? Because you do!
It is
Because you do!
Well,
Fuck!
it's about the Leafs. This has
Yes,
to do
it
with
is.
the Leafs, which is the Leafs pushed them to 7. It came down to 1 goal and they lost. Do I like moral victories? Not always, but I like them better than victories without that. You know, against against Montreal is a flat out choke. The players have said it.
We'd
It's a
be
choke.
calling for the Leafs to be relocated if they lost this series the way they did.
Right. And to be honest with you, it's like, yeah, moral victory in the first round still sucks. But I would take an amoral or immoral victory to get to the second round.
I would get outshot 70-13.
Just to get there. I don't care.
Every game, but you win.
Right. But this is bad. And let me throw this at you too. The Florida Panthers do not have a first round pick for the next 3 years.
Yeah, they traded it all.
And the guys that they traded it for, Giroux and Sherratt, are UFAs.
Yeah, they're not coming back.
Barkov is going from $5.9 million to $10 million next year. Huberdeau, who makes $5.9 million right now, is going to be up after next season. He can start his extension talks with Allen. Noted Alan Walsh client. Mm-hmm. He can start his extension talks with the Florida Panthers.
Alan just texted me. He said he's going to take it easy and give him a discount.
Yeah.
Does that say 800,000?
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Team discount. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah.
Man, I can't believe that. That's pretty wild.
That contract is going to have to be extended because he had an unbelievable year. Noel Acciari is up. Joe Thornton is up. Mason Marchment's due for a raise. He's been very good.
Oh, Joe.
Do feel bad for Joe.
You feel for Joe on that last game.
Do feel bad for Joe.
And just he knew it was over.
And you know, I feel like the thing is the Panthers in trading what they traded for Sherratt.
Andrew,
I think they traded to win last year's playoffs. And it's a little unfair because nobody was sure if the refs were actually going to follow through on actually calling penalties this playoffs. I think Sherratt was far less effective. You know, it's the same reason that Winnipeg beat Edmonton, right? It's we're going to jump on Connor McDavid's head until they say uncle.
This was the Ben Sherratt debate. People are like, oh, look at his regular season numbers. They're bad. And what I kept thinking was, guys, like his first time. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like it's like you didn't watch last year.
And you weren't wrong, right?
Yeah.
He would wear people down of the series. He was great. He was so effective against the Leafs.
Okay, teams outshot and outscored the Habs with him on the ice. Yet they would still come away with the series victory because he would beat the shit out of them.
Yes.
For 4 to 7 games.
Yes.
He wasn't allowed to do that this year. And last year, honestly, I think if it was called like it was last year, Tampa has a much better shot. And not just because of Ben Sherratt. Like, that's a violent team. Like, they're...
Panthers have a much better shot.
Yeah.
You said Tampa.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, they wouldn't. But they also won the cup. But last year's series against Tampa was extremely violent.
It was really close, too. Mm-hmm. I think it was 6 games, but it was a really close series the whole way.
Really close. And Florida... The reason I think Florida would have had a better shot is Florida actually gave Tampa a pretty good run playing like Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, defense, we haven't really planned on any of that. So we're just going to throw that out the window and we're going to try to win every game 5-4, 6-5 against Andrei Vasilevsky and have it still kind of work. And they made themselves into a better version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But... it's called differently, and they executed so poorly.
I also want to mention this. Carter Verhaeghe has an extension that kicks in next year that pays him $3.16 million more than he did last. Oh. He was great in the playoffs for them. Double posts last night, which is a bummer. Injury too, but like I'm telling you, with Barkov's extension kicking in, that's a $4.1 million raise. Verhaeghe's extension kicking in, you have no first round pick to trade. Giroux is up. And so is Sherratt. So you may lose those guys for nothing because of the fact that you have to sign Huberdeau as well to keep this core together.
It's a tough look. It's a tough look. Sorry, for Bill Zito internally, because what mistakes had he made as GM?
They've been, I don't know.
Like every decision he make has turned to gold. Like including I'll just Mason Marchment, Dennis Malkin, fine. Fucking guy. Like, look at him. And like all these bargain bin guys that he's gone out and got have been spectacular. And so he goes, guys, because of Barkov's extension, X, Y, Z, because of all these things, this year we're going for it. Tampa's going to be exhausted, and if we run into them, we're going to run over them. And man, they gave up everything to win 4 games.
Yeah. Bill Zito did everything right. That's what I just want to say. Like, he made the right decision because all of those contracts that are coming up, this was the year. Yeah. You couldn't sit back and be like, all right, we'll get him next year. No, you trade everything because I want to try and go to the Stanley Cup final here this year.
So to clarify, I'm not saying he was wrong to do that.
No.
Yeah.
I think but
it hurts.
And what I was saying is I think it shifted. He was trading for last year's playoffs, not knowing this year's playoffs would be different.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing if Colorado blows this 3-1 lead to St. Louis, which it's still possible.
Entirely possible. Sure.
The team is all in. They're all in for this year.
Yeah.
There's a few teams that, are expected to win, but then there's teams who kind of have to.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Tampa goes in all in every year. They fire their first round pick into the sun and always grab great young depth players like Hagel.
And Florida will still be fine next year, but it's like...
it's just harder.
It may be a step back, but they'll still be good.
It's like the Capitals. Like, they went all in 2017. They lost. We all went, oh, God, they're fucked. And then they ended up winning the cup next year.
Yeah.
But you can't... like, Caps fans were devastated after 2017 because that was the year, and it looked like it was all downhill for them.
So what you're saying is next year, Florida's winning the Stanley Cup.
I'm saying that doesn't happen every year.
I also thought it was interesting... when Andrew Brunette was nominated for the Jack Adams, they're like, hey, Bill, are you going to remove the interim tag as, head coach? He was the all-star coach. Team had the best record in the league, franchise records, blah, 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 blah. And he said, we'll worry about that in the offseason. Well, here's the offseason.
He did some suspect coaching stuff this series.
He said he did.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Did you see his press conference?
No.
He said there was some learning experience moments here. And he said stuff that kept me up all night. And he said there's going to be some stuff that I did that will keep me up all summer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I just noticed, like, in particular, Huberdeau and Barkov, like, shifting them around. I thought it was odd. Like,
dressing Thornton in the last game as though that, like, guys, I watched Joe Thornton play in Toronto. He's not an effective NHLer anymore.
Just giving him the goodbye, like, you got one last lap game. Like, don't do that in game 4 when you're on the brink of elimination.
Put the best team on the ice.
And then the power play situation where I forget who was talking about it on the broadcast, but they just had the wrong player in the bumper spot. They're like, you should move Giroux there. And then it took till like game 4, their third power play, for them to actually try and shift their strategy of a power play that was complete dog shit the entire playoffs. They just kept hammering away at the same thing. And then finally, when you're on the brink of elimination, you kind of switch it around. Like, I don't know if Burnett made the best coaching decisions in that series.
You mind if I put on my tinfoil hat?
Please.
It's a little warm this time of year, and this isn't going to be pleasant. But I think a potential candidate,
Bartholomew Trotz,
Joel Quenneville.
No,
he wasn't fired. He resigned.
No,
he wasn't fired.
He's got to, first off, he's got to meet with Gary before he can come back. No fucking way.
I've heard some things. He ain't gonna. I don't think he's gonna be out of a job for long.
But Florida, okay. Now,
I would be shocked.
A game you should. Well, I think we all would.
Jesse, I think you should mention that.
Can we
thing
do
on the screen?
Andrei Vasilevsky before?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the thing that went off the ref and Vasilevsky had to like shuffle? Did you see the puck? It was a dump and it went off the ref and Vasilevsky was like out of position and like it almost jumped his stick.
Yeah, almost, but it didn't.
Yeah, he just let it go by him. I saw that play. I just want to talk about the best goaltender in the world and the guy who's already in the Hall of Fame.
Darcy Kemper.
Andrei Vasilevsky. So in his he's faced 200 shots in his last 7 series clinching games. His save percentage is a .995. He has 6 shutouts. His GAA is 0.14.
So the Leafs are the only team to have scored on Andrei Vasilevsky in a series clinching game out of the last 7. Is that what you're telling me?
So let's go back. His series clinching games: 2020 Cup Final, shutout. Round 1, 2021 versus Florida, shutout. 2021 Round 2 versus Carolina, shutout. Round 3 versus the Islanders, shutout. Cup Final versus Montreal, shutout. Leafs Game 7, 1 goal. 2022
with
Round 2.
97%
Florida
save percent.
Shutout.
Fuck yeah!
It's unbelievable. This is some of
crazy.
the craziest, most historic stuff that's going on right now. Like, forget about McDavid lighting it up. What about Vasi?
And a historic. And the fact is that we've just seen a historic season in terms of goal scoring.
Yeah.
Like, we're back to almost 80s level of goal scoring. And isn't it funny, People were like, well, if you do that, then the goalies are, they're going to look like their stats are shitty like they were in the 80s. No, the good ones are good. The bad ones are bad.
Andrei Vasilevsky, I've changed my mind on him because I've been saying that. I've changed my mind.
You're saying he's bad?
Steve had to take. Don't you know that Steve was on the record of saying Vasilevsky is bad and his pads are too big?
Exactly.
Say it.
No, I've said that if Vasilevsky retired today, perhaps not in the middle of the playoffs, but maybe when these playoffs are over, he'd be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I wasn't aggressive enough.
Yep.
He's going to be among the pantheon of the best goalies of all time. By the time he hangs,
what type of draft pick was he? Do you know? Do you remember?
He was not even Tampa's. So he was a first round pick, but he wasn't even Tampa's first pick. So Tampa had the 10th and 19th picks that year. I think it was 2012. 10th overall.
Shit, so the Leafs passed on him?
No, because the Leafs
had traded their first round pick.
Yes,
probably.
that was Boston got Dougie Hamilton, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, that was 2011. I can't remember, Adam. Don't make me do math. No, they drafted Morgan Riley.
That's okay.
That was a good pick.
Yeah, Leafs drafted Morgan Riley at number 5.
Thank God.
I got the draft.
At number 10, they pick Slater Cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
And number 19, they get Vasilevsky. Was there a goalie picked ahead of him?
There was not.
That would have been funny. Dude, that's unbelievable. He doesn't get talked about enough in terms of redrafting and being the first overall pick from that draft. Like, yes, he is. Yes, he is. That's the first overall pick. Riley might be second. I'd probably argue Philip Forsberg. Holy shit! He's one of the best goalies of all time.
If they actually accomplish 3 cups in a row, if they do that thing, do we put him top 5 all time?
Well, not yet.
No,
well, because there have been too many good goalies in NHL history. You can't. One of the all-time tag.
Mm-hmm.
You need to finish your career, or you need to be like in the twilight of your career. He's 27.
That's what I'm saying. He's got so much time.
Oh yeah. No, I expect him to be there, but you can't just be like, there it is. It's done. There's no debate.
I can.
I know you can.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a top 5 list.
Him and Viliuso and Patrick Waugh and Dominic Hasek.
Broder.
Yeah. There it is.
He could be.
Uso just kicked Curtis Joseph off the list.
if they do
Ken
3
Dryden.
in a row and he keeps up this stupid shutout streak in series clinchers game, the 6 out of 7, it's stupid. If he pulls off 2 more rounds of unbelievable goaltending, we got to make the case.
I'm sorry.
If he gets 3 cups in a row,
come on,
3 cups in a row,
that puts you on some other level.
Not even the Oilers did that.
First team in the cap era, and so there's been heavy debate because we've talked about the Blackhawks, for example, as a dynasty because 3 cups in 6 years or whatever. No.
Mm-mm.
Proper dynasty status is at least 3 in a row.
Yeah, we're talking all sports.
Yeah.
We're putting Tampa amongst just every other the major
greatest
4 leagues.
sports teams of all time.
You put them with the in terms of the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens of several decades, the New York Islanders, we're talking about Tampa accomplishing a greatness that Lemieux's Penguins were never able to accomplish. Crosby's Penguins,
Gretzky's Oilers.
Gretzky's Oilers did.
They did not do 3 in a row.
You're right.
They won 84, 85. Dipped in 86, 87, 88, and then 90.
3 in a row is special.
Oh my God. 3 in a row.
The last team to do it was the Islanders.
Oh my God.
And then
for some reason, my brain always tricks me into thinking the Oilers won 5 in a row.
The Bobby Clark Flyers, the Bobby Orr Boston Bruins. You're talking about, I don't even, did the Leafs, I think before that, so it was the Islanders,
they had won
the
3
Canadians,
once.
and then I think the Leafs won 3 in a row in the 60s. Is it 62, 63, 64?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it was.
And so those are the last. And as you think about how long it's been since the Leafs won a cup, and we're including them in a conversation about winning cups. This is how rare this is.
People like talking about post 6 team records. I like to call it post moon landing. How many teams since we've been to the moon have been able to accomplish this? And Tampa, they're in there, man. They're in the final 4.
Now I'm going to leave the Carolina-New York series because we do have to talk about Gio before we wrap the show, and we do need more stuff to talk about tomorrow. Jesse, did you have one? You look like you had something to add.
Carolina and New York is not exciting.
Well, they fucking hate each other, and
I like the part where Gallant told D'Angelo to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I like that too.
Very funny.
And Domi's going after Lindgren's ribs, and he's pissed about that too.
If I'm ranking the 4 series by ones I'm most excited about, they come at 4.
It doesn't mean though that it's not been a great series.
Oh yeah,
they hate each other. It's great.
You talk about another Russian goalie sort of making things boring. Geez, Igor, allow a few more goals.
Okay, so let's not talk about it though. I do want to talk about this, and I think it was Elliott's the only one that I've seen report
Adam
this.
Fox, Artemi Panarin.
Mark Giordano leaves money on the table with the Leafs and a deal that the Leafs had already agreed to. So yeah, obviously, Mark Giordano's coming off a deal that paid him $6.75 million. I don't think he was going to make that.
He's fine,
but it's not fair to say. Or is it not fair to say that Mark Giordano was probably going to make in the $3.5 to $4 million range in the open market? Top 4 defenseman by every metric.
The Flyers exist. He would have made
he would have easily.
Yeah. As a free agent. Yeah, I think 4 maybe at the high end.
Maybe Arizona would do that.
Maybe even a 2 or 3 year deal.
Oh yeah,
he would have been making at least Justin Hull money, which is 2.
Oh, he would have been making more than that.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And so the Leafs offer him a deal, 2 years, $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm. And no one would have blinked at that.
And everyone
Elliot said it might have been $1 million something. He's not exactly sure on the $1 million, but it might have been $1.2 million, $1 million flat, $1.1 million, something like that. Yeah.
And they knew both sides wanted this to happen. Giordano actually owned a house in the Toronto area up until 3 years ago, and they just sold it. And he was like, I really wish we hadn't sold it. But he wants
the market.
The market went bananas on him. But now it's sputtering, so we're not sure.
He, with his current contract, could not buy a house.
Probably not. Probably not, Steve. You're not wrong. Spezza, for the same reason, wanted to be in Toronto. He wanted his kids close to the grandparents and and siblings and everything else. And Giordano and his wife are both from here. They want the kids near the grandparents. They don't want him out of a time zone and trying to connect with his kids, whatever. So the lease made sense for a bunch of reasons. Plus, he believes that this team is a contender. But he calls Kyle Dubas and says, "What can I do to make this better so that you can go out and get more pieces?"
So he gave the Leafs, we can assume, at least $200,000
a year
extra to work with.
Probably more.
Yeah, maybe like $350,000,
He gave them Timothy Liljegren's bonus, basically, for this year.
Pretty cool.
Because Liljegren's getting
actually a pretty good way of looking at it.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. How often do we hear stories like this?
Spezza.
But I can tell, I can tell how upset people are. Like, I know it's being perceived like people are giving the Leafs a free ride. They're not. This is a smashing deal. Even if some people are like, oh, he's a third line or
he's not
third
though.
pair.
Even Jay Fresh is like, this guy is by any metric a top 4 D.
It's in worst case scenario, he's third pair. That's $800,000 for your third pair defenseman.
Yeah, dude. Like for a regular NHL defenseman who's as good as he is still, who has the experience that he does, guys, like the fact that you can you're right. Oh man, Liljegren. Okay, cry about it. Rip, throw it over your shoulder. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. This guy said no to conservatively $250,000 a year. So he said no to $500,000 over the next 2 years because he wants to be a Leaf. I'm sorry. That fucking rules. There's no other way to look at it. Oh man, he's like 40. Yeah, well, he's still good too. So shut up.
Who are you telling to shut up?
I don't think anybody looked at that. If you had anywhere close,
you know what I mean? Them.
Steve's again meeting them on the goofy field of goofiness. You don't need to go.
Yeah, look,
don't go to the arena of
at
goofy.
their own game.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's awesome to see him come home. You see why he wants to do it, and I have to be honest. I see what he sees. I think.
Me too.
I think given how they
fuck.
played Tampa, yeah, fuck, man. I know. No moral victories in sports, but I don't.
God, it hurts.
It does hurt.
It hurts.
But maybe we can get him and Spets and CJ was saying that Spezza may be back, but as not a player.
Not a player.
Whatever. Just get him a damn ring. Get him a ring.
100%.
Still do it for Spezza.
He might be the first ever
can he be a player
team
coach?
consultant to have the cup passed to him first.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a story?
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Oh god.
And then he hands it to Gio.
Yeah.
Tavares,
absolutely.
Spezza, Gio. I love that we're doing this.
Damn.
After they fucking lost in the first round again.
Should we bring we've gone a little bit long here. Should we do the press conference tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we're doing
Cover
it
a lot of
tomorrow.
shit.
Yeah, let's do it tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, listen, we'll end on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just want to say it's back to the Nazem Kadri thing to bring this whole show in a circle. It was amazing to see the support for him in all corners of the web, at least the ones that I follow. And I just want to say again how impressed, absolutely on a personal level, impressed I am with who that person is. That was absolutely unbelievable. And that to me right now is the story of the playoffs. So another shout out to Nazem Kadri from a show that misses and loves him. And I think nobody wants to put it in economic terms, but I will. I think he just made himself an extra $500,000 to $750,000 a year on his next contract.
At least.
Yeah.
A playoff
To where?
A playoff hat trick.
Montreal?
No, I don't think so.
There's a video out on our TikTok, the at SDPN Sports TikTok of Steve Dangle confirming Kadri to the Canadiens.
Did you say it?
Yeah, my source is my assumption.
Are you backing off your stance?
No.
Okay, good.
Kadri, Caulfield, Tavares after the trade.
Jesse would have to be the GM at that point.
Adam, who are you?
All right,
who are you picking? Where does he go?
I think
Tavares on the wing.
He's going to get the biggest offer from Philadelphia monetarily.
He'll say no to money this year.
Yeah, I think he will. Listen, don't count out the Colorado Avalanche. If he's going to say no to money.
I think if you're a Flyers fan, you're cheering for the Avalanche so that he wins. And he's like, all right, it's time for a payday. If the Avs lose, he ain't going to a team who missed the playoffs.
The other one I was thinking about that would make a whole lot of sense.
Unless it's the Avs.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about Los Angeles?
I think, the whole hockey world is gearing up for them to wreck shit, eh?
Yeah.
And we were talking about another center going there potentially last week. I forget who it was.
Wasn't it Matthews?
Was it? Oh, Matthews, yeah. But I think what's that? This show?
CJ.
No, but there was something.
that?
But I think Kadri, LA, what a fit.
Man, Kopitar, Danault, Kadri, Byfield.
They don't have the room.
Put him on the wing. Put Kopitar on the wing.
Yeah.
He's played wing.
If I'm LA, I don't prioritize that, but I do allow myself to dream. Put Kopitar on the wing?
Yeah, why not?
I like the idea that he signs with the Avalanche.
I do too.
It reminds me of Stamkos when he was coming up and coming up for free agency, and everyone's like, "Okay, where's Stamkos go?" And they just re-signed with the Lightning, and then they figured it out along the way.
Imagine they're able to re-sign McKinnon and Kadri for market value.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the most fun.
What they have reminds me of what was with the Lightning were, and that they just might re-sign everybody.
Kadri joins a team who's about to lose their number one center. Boston.
Is Boston going to lose their number one center?
If Bergeron retires, yeah.
You think he's retiring?
That was the suspicion at the end of the season.
Oh,
so Kadri to Boston.
No,
there's no way. With the history,
stop it! Do not put that evil on me, sir.
With the history, it doesn't happen.
Oh, I hate you.
With Marchand and DeBrusque, same line.
Okay.
It doesn't happen.
So before we wrap the show, Agent Provocateur tomorrow at noon. Now I'm gonna have a little teaser for you tomorrow when we open the show, because it's story time with Alan Walsh. And by the way, Alan Walsh is at his best when Alan Walsh is telling stories. There's a lot of stuff he tells us where I'm like, we can't put that on the air while you're working in the NHL. Because, but in these two stories, and I don't mean like they're bad. It's
like
just
that
like
time he told us Kadri to Boston.
Yeah. No, it would make people look bad, right? You can't, whatever. People make mistakes, bad trades, that sort of thing. I'm not talking about anything so like terrible, salacious, whatever. But this one is two stories where he does name names, and you're not going to believe a couple of them. And tomorrow I have a little quiz for you.
One of the names is Sidney Crosby.
One of the names is Sidney Crosby.
You've already recorded this.
Yes, it's already done, and it will be out tomorrow. But I have a quiz for you at the top of the show. I'll be like,
at the top of tomorrow's show?
Yeah, at our show. Can you name this player? I can't wait. Yeah, because I think it's gonna stump Steve. I think we're finally gonna get him.
No!
There's no way.
Yeah.
Can I speak on behalf of everyone listening right now and say, fuck you?
You're gonna love it. All right, so we'll get into that.
Man.
Also
Anyway.
Tomorrow, we're going to talk about John Tortorella possibly to Philadelphia.
Actually?
Where did you read that rumor?
It just came up on my phone.
No
We'll
way.
talk about it tomorrow.
Oh, and Hurricanes fans, Rangers fans, don't worry, tomorrow we're still not going to talk about it. Don't worry.
Get interesting, please.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.